Here we are. All right, welcome back to the Talking Average Fitness Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Burns. I'm joined as always by my faithful compatriot, Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Three
Wonderful.
classes deep, one cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling.
Only one?
That's yeah. 'Cause I make one on the way, like as I'm leaving the house, and I kind of like drink it either during the first class or like if it's busy class, I'm like running around doing stuff. Like throughout
Sure.
the first two classes, I'll consume that cup of coffee,
Yep.
and then I don't have the means. I mean, I could potentially go get one, but then that takes away from the time of me being able to eat my breakfast. And today I had to send a bunch of emails, so
That's hard.
doing work stuff, so don't
Yeah.
have the access to the caffeine and at the moment. Plus, I have to get up at 4 in the morning again tomorrow, so my last consumption of caffeine today needs to be earlier so that I
Yeah.
can be able to go to sleep and all that fun nonsense.
You got to time it out appropriately. I get that.
Yeah. Yep.
What the heck was I gonna say? How big is that cup of coffee? That's the question that I had. Whereas it's because in my brain it's like I only have one glass of wine and it's the size of a salad bowl.
It's one of the
Yeah.
fucking the Stanley tumblers that are way too big and ridiculous.
Yes.
Um, it's like what is it, like the 10 or 12 ounce like Yeti tumbler.
Okay. So
Like,
what I would call the
yeah.
mid-size.
Yeah, so one like the like looks like a block type deal. I don't know if
Mm.
it's 10 or 12 ounce, but it's the smallest tumbler that they have that's not like one of the like a fancy
Mhm.
curved ones, if that makes sense, with a handle on it or whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, it's just one of those. Un Nespresso pod.
Mm.
So that's the easy. I have all the different coffee making apparatuses. If you're a fan of good coffee, you know what we're talking about. All the
Apparati.
three different pour over methods: a French press, AeroPress.
Mm.
The only one I don't have is like an actual espresso machine where like you pull an espresso shot. That's the only one I don't have, and that will be a someday purchase.
That's
Um,
a commitment.
it is, and I would
Yeah.
love to learn to do it, and just kind of like on the weekends, just like get all sorts of funky with it. But we have an espresso machine that we got, I think, like maybe a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
That like is the if like up early in the morning, that's the go-to. You just like you at 4 in the morning, I just put the pot in, press go. It makes the coffee. It's good coffee,
Yeah.
better than Keurig. Is that what I said?
Yep.
Um,
You,
so
you know the secret with the Keurig, right?
no,
So the secret with the Keurig is you never get just one. So like what you with a Keurig, they overwater their coffee relative to the amount of coffee they use, right?
right,
So what you need is you need a Keurig machine that has the settings, right?
right.
And you need to tell it to brew an espresso,
Mhm.
right? And then you do 3 Keurig pods, and then it tastes like a regular cup of coffee.
Jesus Christ. Um, that I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, like you, because we had one prior to the Nespresso. We like basically kind of like upgrade. We're like, we're going to do this instead of getting
Sure.
another Keurig. We
Yeah.
had one that had like the different sizes where you could like, anywhere between like 4 or 5 ounce thing and up to like a 16 ounce thing, which at that
Mhm.
point is just water.
Yeah.
And so we have one of those, and I only ever used like the smaller of the two,
Good.
and it just was like it's just a smaller cup of coffee because it tastes better. But
Yeah.
so I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got taught that in another life before I became a CrossFit coach. I was in an office doing the cubicle lifestyle, and one of the guys who was on the project that I was on was like, I was like, because I used to bring a French press to
Yes,
the office,
brilliant. I
and
love that.
I and then like, and I'd be the guy who's like in the break room timing out a 5 minute like bloom and then being like,
Yeah,
and press,
yeah,
And one day he was like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. And he showed me that.
yeah. Not that a French press is super complicated. You know what I really respect when you see videos like if anyone follows Tim Paulson on Instagram,
Mm.
he's also a fan of the coffee. And whenever he travels anywhere, he brings a portable pour over thing, his filters, a bag of beans, and a handheld grinder so he can like make his own coffee. So he said like in an airport, he posted a story where like he went to Dunkin' Donuts just to get the cup
Yep.
and like took the cup. He was like,
Yeah.
I just need a cup. And
Yep.
so they gave him a cup and he like went to the counter and started making his own. He said, can I have a cup of like the hot water so he could like
Yeah.
pour it over? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, what a savage. He'd be like, can I have a cup and some hot water so I can make my own coffee within your store?
Yeah. And
What?
even your hot water is suspect.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, none of this is what we were intending to talk about, but I'm
I'll
always
do
up for
a whole
talking about.
podcast on caffeination and like just, I don't know the importance of coffee in one's life.
So a real quick side, another real quick aside. Um, we are planning a summit for gymnastics, CrossFit gymnastics,
Ooh.
where we're pulling everybody in from all around the globe. And
Mhm.
they did this last year. They did this last year, and everybody flew in and stayed at the director's place in France, and talked about the course and group feedback, but also like group training and like doing some fun stuff. This year we've got a trip planned, and so we're going to a location,
Mhm.
and when we were polling, like where does everybody want to go? Like, do you want to go someplace hot or someplace cold? And my initial response was, I really don't care where we go. I just want there to be good coffee.
Yes.
And I got a lot of positive responses
Yes.
from that particular.
Yeah. Whenever Sammy and I travel, like whenever we get somewhere, I'm like, where are the coffee spots? Pull up
Yes.
their websites. Let's see what that like. Because if you look at a coffee spot and it's just like, it's all the donuts and pastries in the background, or
Mm-hmm.
like it's just like a machine or two, you're like, eh. But then you see a coffee spot, like there's a place called George Howell's in Newton
Mm-hmm.
that like they've got every different like pour over apparatus on a shelf. They've
Yep.
got different French presses. They've got like beans, all the different beans everywhere, different grinders, like a whole row of espresso things. I'm like, you guys are coffee people.
Yeah.
I'm going to, so they had, if you're a fan of espresso, they have what's called like their alchemy blend, where each month their baristas go in and play with different combinations of beans and flavors to get a different shot of espresso. And so each month the alchemy flavor is different. So I would go back each month, like, what's the alchemy of this one? To be like, it's a blend of these two beans. They're sourced from here, and it's got different notes of this and this. I'm like, awesome. Give me a shot of that shit.
Yeah.
Put it down the face hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Stuff.
Love that. Anyone who wants to send us coffee beans, feel free to do that. All right. So Kevin had a great idea. I was going to make a joke somewhere in there, but I'm just going to leave it. I'm
Yeah,
going to give you.
I know exactly what you're gonna see.
Yep. We're going to leave it alone.
That's my
Um,
favorite.
Kevin had a great idea about like what to talk about, because we've done this is our 45th episode.
Yeah, that's
we
insane.
It is insane.
We have been allowed to do this for almost a year.
Somehow they haven't shut us down.
They are, but somehow
Yeah,
they haven't shut us down.
I know. And so, to our tens of listeners, thanks for playing along.
Mm.
I we do have a list of things that we like to talk about, but Kevin had a great idea about, because we're both in unique situations in terms of not only what we do professionally, but also like where we are personally. And his idea was,
we're going to talk about like what we do essentially. What exactly we do from a work standpoint. I mean, I know anyone that's been listening for a while, that we are professional coaches and we take great pride in the product and service that we can offer others.
see.
And you know that about us, but you might not know like the minutia of like kind of what's a day in the life, like what does our work life look like, what does our training at the moment look like, how has, like, if we took a snapshot of like the past maybe 3 to 6 months, how has that fitness journey evolved in that relatively short window? Because I know for both of us it has gone through multiple ebbs and flows, ups and downs over the past 3 to 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to do so. And so we just figured like let's go through a little peek behind the curtains of who are these crazy bastards that are just chatting away on some microphones.
Well, let's do this tit for tat version. So let's pick a category, and we'll go ping pong style. Where do you want to start?
So like professionally, like let's start professionally, kind of like what do you do for work as a general scope, and then I always think it's a nice kind of little thing to go like what's kind of like a day in the life, like if you were to outline like an average day.
So you're already talking, so I would say continue talking. Go ahead.
I'll continue. So for me, I am currently the head coach, facility manager, big hoss, whatever you want to kind of term that, at CrossFit Tilt in Sudbury. So CrossFit Tilt has multiple affiliates and fitness apparatuses that it runs, and one of those is an affiliate in Sudbury, Massachusetts, which I am currently the head coach of. And I've been at this gym for about a year and a half. And and for the year prior was a full-time, just a secondary full-time coach under Senor Colin Hill, who we've had on the podcast a couple times. And once Colin moved on to his opportunity that presented itself to him for him to continue his career, I moved into the head coaching role here. So if you have no idea what a kind of, if that looks like being a head coach of an affiliate, a few different things to think about. Number one, you're going to be in the gym, you personally in the gym, for roughly 7 to 9 hours each day, depending on the day and your tasks, all that fun stuff. And generally, if you've got a gym that has a structure with full-time coaches, you generally break it into shifts. So we have a morning shift and an evening shift. Each shift contains 4 classes. The morning shift starts at roughly 5 a.m., finishes at anywhere between 12:30 to 2-ish, depending on what you got going on and what
Sounds
you have
about right.
So you get to the gym at 5. First class is 5:30. You get there at 5 to set up your freaking room, set up your class, make it so everything's good to go. The whole everybody grab a rower and set it up. Not the deal.
So sometimes it's got to be like that.
So, sure.
But ideally,
on average, right? Like an average day in a perfect world, you're getting there 20 to 30 minutes beforehand to set up your room.
Absolutely.
I'm in there some days. I had a day not too long ago where my car does this amazing thing where it'll look like it has gas in it and then it won't. And I live a ways away from the gym at the moment.
Is this your car's fault or is
no,
that what we're implying here?
So it was sat at yesterday. It was sat at half a tank, and I was like, oh, I got gas for the next 2 days. And then as I was driving home, it chunked down half the way. So it literally it fluctuates, and I was like, ooh.
Oh, so you got a gauge issue.
Yeah, there's something in there. It's an older car, 2010, so But so I had what I thought was quarter tank. I was at a quarter tank, I can get to the gym, do my classes, I'll get gas on the way home.
Sure.
It was reasonable. As I'm driving on the way home, I pull out the driveway. I'm getting to, towards where the highway is, and that thing goes one of those. So I'm like, uh-oh. And in my head, I'm where the entrance to the highway is, the main strip for town is that road, and the exit's just there. So I'm if I go down a little bit, I've got to hit a gas station, then I can just kind of turn around and boom. I drove for a solid 2 minutes down that street. There was no gas stations. I'm what is happening? So I finally said, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to be able to make it to class if I just
risk it for the biscuit.
Yep. So I'm we're going to risk it for the biscuit. So I turn around, I'm going down 95, and I know that the exit I have to get off in on Waltham, there's a gas station at that. I get off and it's right there. I'm if I can make it to there, if I can make it to Waltham, it's about 20 miles. I can make it, then
what vehicle is this?
Huh?
What vehicle is this?
I have a Toyota Camry.
So 2010 Camry?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah. The problem was when I turned around and got on the thing, my gas light was on. So we were cutting it close. I pulled into the gas station. I made it. I pulled in, was boom, give me some gas.
Yeah.
And I just filled it up. Just I solve all my anxiety problems.
Sure.
And so it's a 16-gallon tank.
Yep.
I put 15.7 gallons in the I was we were cutting it close. We were cutting it super close.
Oh dear.
So anyways, in an ideal world, so that day I got to the gym at 5:25. And I was all right, guys, let's rock and roll.
Yep.
Anyways, you get there early, you set up your room, and I coach the 5:30, 6:30, 8:30, 9:30 a.m. classes.
Yep.
During the 1 hour gap, I eat breakfast and might do some emails, restock bathrooms, organize equipment, whatever kind of little stuff needs to be done. And then the evening shift is from 11 or 11:30 a.m. until the gym closes at 7:30.
Yep.
So that involves the noon, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 class. So during kind of a day in the life, I'm coaching 4 classes. Some of those days, there's an extra private session tacked on there. So you do an hour with a one-on-one client. And basically it looks outside of my coaching of the classes, it looks like prep for future classes. So writing lesson plans and for me, I'm also the head programmer at CrossFit Tilt. So I handle the programming for all of our affiliates.
Mhm.
So it could look like writing programming for the following month, because I like to stay about a month ahead,
Mhm.
and get that stuff taken care of, answering a good amount of emails,
Mhm.
and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm fortunate enough at this gym where cleaning the gym, as far as like mopping the floor and scrubbing the toilet, is not one of my responsibilities. CrossFit
Hallelujah.
hires a cleaning staff to take care of that. And they come in anywhere, depending on the week, like 2 to 4 times per week. They'll come in and do like a deep clean of the gym at night. So, yeah, fortunate that that's the case. But essentially, a day in the life, I'll kind of walk you through today, because it's a relatively average day.
Yep.
Is get to the gym at 5, set up the room, the equipment, everything that I want. First class comes in. I coach my 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. classes. During the 7:30 to 8:30 break, I restock the bathrooms with toilet paper, paper towel, all that fun stuff, so everyone's good to go there.
Mhm.
Ate my breakfast.
Yeah.
And sent some emails. We're doing a little bit of some member outreach between me and Jack, trying to like get some people, some members that like over the past 3 months, it kind of like came in for their free trial or their intro month and had gone away, trying to like kind of see if we can steer them back into the gym. So sending a handful.
Member retention work.
Yep, exactly. Member retention stuff. So handle all that. Coached my 8:30, 9:30 class. We've got the podcast that we do here, I take care of during this hour, because it works for me and Sam. But this could easily have been a personal training session. For tomorrow, it will be a personal training session during this hour. That takes us to 11:30 roughly.
Yeah.
From there, I'll pop back out the office or finish up my session, chat with some members, and then I'll take the noon class. Important for me as the head coach, as any coach, work out with your people, build some community, all that fun stuff. And it allows me to get my fitness in as well. So I'll take the noon class. After the noon class, chat with my other coach, Jack, of any lesson planning that needs to be done. And we generally like to chat ideas about, hey, here's how we want to present this class tomorrow, or go about teaching this movement, or we'll play around with. So like when we had we programmed pullovers, I programmed pullovers for one of our workouts last week, and so we kind of planned out our progression that we were going to take people through. So we kind of played around with like high bar, low bar, box, like different options, and be like, okay, here's a progression that with this workout makes sense and is also like kind of smooth and streamlined throughout the class. So we spent probably 45 minutes playing around with that and chatting ideas, and kind of essentially building out a lesson plan, so it was a consistent product, one that we were happy with and could execute on well, stuff like that. So if it wasn't something like that, then Jack, being a newer coach, I handle some coaching development with him.
Sure.
And we can do any sort of coaching development and talk anything and everything coaching, from programming to running classes to how much caffeine is necessary to make it in this business. So all the things.
The limit does not exist.
Yeah, no, it does not. So that's roughly a day in the life of a full-time head coach, affiliate manager, head programmer. That's what I do. Kind of
How many days a week do you do that? Or something like that.
5 to 6 days a week.
Yep.
So we have like a rotating weekend schedule with some part-time coaches, with full-timers kind of mixed in there. So you basically, each coach coaches like every second or third weekend, depending on like the rotation and who's in the rotation. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All
right. Yeah.
What do I do? Well, so
you want to go because I could talk about like the extra stuff I'm working on, but
well, let's come back to that, right? So we'll do day in the life, right? So so chiefly what I do is I would say I split responsibilities professionally and personally, right? So I try to work as much as possible about 3 days a week. So my wife does college admissions counseling. We're in the middle of her busy season from August to November. We call it Augvember.
Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah. So
I know what that world looks like. Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. So as that workload starts to drive up, part of my responsibility is making sure that like on Wednesday and on Friday and through the weekend, I'm available to like help with the kids, and that needs to be a chief responsibility.
Yep.
And so that leaves me really Monday. Currently, it's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are my primary work days. My work days run from about 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Because that's when our childcare ends, and that's when I have to be around to take over and take the handoff.
Yep.
So I wear a couple hats. I work for an organization called FitFiliate, and FitFiliate works with affiliate owners and coaches to help them be more successful and more profitable. Um, we essentially believe that you have the power to solve your own problems, and it's not our job to give you a template. It's our job to be like, why aren't you doing the thing that you know is going to help you? Um, and so I have clients that I work with, and I have projects that I work with for FitFiliate, and so that takes up a varying amount of time in my schedule. I also have a remote personal training business called Motivateful, and I have my 3 clients who I hold meetings with regularly, but I also will, do their programming and pull in resources as necessary and prep for those meetings to make sure that they're supported. And then like throughout the day, we message back and forth. And so I do video reviews and movement recommendations and stuff like that. Then I am on staff for CrossFit Gymnastics, which is run by an organization called the Gymnastics Course. And my official role in the seminars is I'm an assistant coach. So my job is to I have 2 functions. The first is as a demo, and so there's a lead instructor who is doing all the talking, and then the demo is there to be the person who does the movement, so that the instructor doesn't have to talk and move, or so that they can talk and point and say, "Here, look at this," that kind of thing, while the demo is moving.
Mm.
My secondary function in the seminars is what Nathan Bird, our director, would call a congelé, which means I'm a person who congeals people. Part of my job is to connect with athletes and to find common points throughout the seminar and tie people together and make the group feel more cohesive, right? And a great example is Dane Levy. Shout out Dane Levy down in Florida. He's one of our lead instructors. He's also a fantastic gymnast, one of the best movers I've seen in a long damn time. We were in where were we? We're at CrossFit Rife in Virginia Beach, and it was a big seminar. It was like 25 people. So we had the lead, who is our director, Nathan Bird. Dane was the assist, and I was actually the second assist. So my job is I come in and I am like the demo for the spot. I'm also a contrast demo where it's like, Dane, move well, Sam, move bad. And you could like A/B and see the difference between the two. But also as a congealer or congelé, it can be very intimidating when you have someone like a Dane who moves so well. It's like having a Matt Fraser in the room.
Mm.
And everybody looks at that and they're like, fuck, I can't do that. Why do I even want to pay attention to that? And so it's my job to walk around and be like, look at that asshole. Look at that asshole move like that. Okay, well, we're going to forget what he did and we're going to find something that's going to work for you,
Mm.
And so I get them to not get hung up on the virtuosity that he exhibits.
Mm.
I also am finishing a programming block for TGC Online Programming. So we write and provide programming resources. It's an accessory program. It's not a primary gymnastics training program. So we've got a new programming block that launches the 18th of September. And then we are hosting a guided walkthrough of the TGC Online course. And so you can come and you can take the seminar, or you can walk through the online course. And the online course is massive. It's 16 units. You get 35 CEUs if you complete it. Yeah, it's a bear.
Wow.
Yeah. So for my level 2s and level 3s, that completely covers your CEU requirements for a renewal period, because they've lowered.
Did they change it to 35?
They changed it to 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't. Where have I been? Did I die? Have I been living under a rock?
No, you've been too busy coaching.
Okay. Well,
yeah. So they lowered for the CEU, for the level 3 renewal, they lowered the hour requirement and the CEU requirement for renewal. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, anyway, so we've got the online course, and what we're doing is we're running a small group cohort where a staff member will meet with groups 1 hour a week for 10 weeks, and we will walk you through the online course. So it's not just learn on your own. It's now cool. We're going to have bonus assignments. We're going to talk about issues that you don't understand. And so you get a mentor as you go through the process. And that kicks off the 18th of September as well. So that keeps me relatively busy.
Yeah. For those that weren't counting, I'm pretty sure that was like 4.5 hats, 5.5 if you count being a dad, which you should.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
5.5 hats that he's
Yeah.
got going on there.
Yeah. That's fun. It's a lot of fun. And like day in the life. So I'll use today as an example. So workday started at 8 o'clock. We were up with the kids at a little after 7. And we get them all set up, and our nanny comes in, and we're very, very grateful that we have a nanny. And 8 o'clock, I came downstairs, and so I chunked out a couple tasks for Fitfiliate. I had some video editing to do because I'm doing a personal project where I'm documenting my process preparing for the level 4. So I record a video, and then I've got to edit the video and then upload it to YouTube. So I was doing some video editing. I'm doing this podcast, so yay for that. After this, I will have 2 meetings, one with a personal training client, with a Motivateful client, one with my business coach. And so my business coach is the person. Coaches need coaches, for the love of God. It doesn't stop when you become a coach. You got to still look for people who are better than you. So I have a meeting with my business coach who's helping me make sure that I'm clear on what I need to do so that I can be successful at all of the many hats that I wear. And then after that, I'll hop in the car and I'll drive into Portland. The affiliate that I go to is CrossFit Casco Bay. I have a meeting with the head coach of the Portland location to hopefully work out a deal so that I can coach there, hopefully once a week, in preparation for this level 4 assessment. So we're gonna see what comes out of that, and then I'll come home. Should be home about 4 o'clock. Nanny goes home at 4:30, and from then to the end of the evening, it's daddy daycare, and make sure the kids are taken care of, and fed and pottied, and bathed and changed diapers, and all that stuff. Yeah,
there we go. That's awesome. I mean, when you walk into CrossFit Casco Bay and they see this gorgeous Greek god of the north walk in, they'll be like, do you want this gym? Do you want this affiliate? I feel like we should just give it to you.
They have no clue who I am. And to be fair, I'm nobody.
Right. I mean, I'm the same.
Exactly.
Nobody knows me from Joe Schmo over here.
Exactly.
Except for the people that obviously your circle of people that know you, but nobody knows me that doesn't know me,
Exactly. And then that's what I have at Casco Bay. And the only people who I know who are the people who I'm beginning to meet in class, because I'm a member of the community, right?
Yep.
The coaches, so the owner Nick Beal, the head coach Zach, and the coach who runs the class, who I go to regularly, Keena, they know I'm a coach.
Yes.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And other than that, I don't say a damn thing. I shut my mouth.
Yep. They just know that Sam has coached before, but that's not like they don't know what your credentials are or your history or anything like that.
So Nick and Zach do now, because I approached Nick and I was like, hey, this is where I'm at. And we had a discussion about affiliate ownership and coaching and what can the exchange look like? Because I was like, I don't want to be paid. I need the time in the class.
Right.
And so let's make this equitable. What can we give back to Casco Bay? And so there are a couple ideas that were floating around. But yeah, so it should be like this, in my opinion. No one should know who I am, because I'm not anyone special. I haven't met anybody or changed any lives in that community. That's the responsibility of other people who have been there a longer time and to put in that work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the second you coach a class and you hold them in the bottom of an air squat for 5 seconds and they go, oh, fuck. Who's this guy?
No. If it works out, and I really hope it does, because it could be a lot of fun. If it works out, I think the moment will be when I do this thing. And
you with the
with the hands and the thumbs.
I sat there, you're good thing I did. I was like, oh, I've been bamboozled. You fucking got me.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite shticks. That's always a lot of fun.
That was great. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that's the day in the life of Sam.
That's the day.
just running around, just rotating through 5 equal hats.
Yeah, I got to have a really important, like a really well managed schedule
I was gonna
to.
like
Yeah,
7 calendars.
it's so no.
Yeah.
What I do is I use an app called Motion, and Motion allows me to so I can connect all of my calendars. So
Mhm.
I've got a calendar for my I've got a calendar for my personal life. I've got a calendar for my business. I've got a calendar for TGC. I've got a calendar for FitFiliate. I've got a calendar for Talking Average Fitness,
Mhm.
even though we don't actually like put anything on it, but it's a Google account.
Yep, you
Um, I've got a calendar from it sees the things on my wife's calendar, so like we can like sync things up. And then what is nice about Motion is it has. Have you ever seen like project management software,
no.
like Gantt charts and stuff like that? So basically,
Oh,
yeah, so you create task lists. You
yeah.
say, hey, these are the tasks I have to do for this project. These are the tasks for this project. You set deadlines, you set priorities, you set estimated times, and then you say go. And what it does is it uses an AI to slot them into my calendar
Oh, so
as
it basically makes
blocks.
the schedule for you. So you're
It
like, "Dude,
automates my
this is
schedule for
all
me.
the shit I need to get done
Yes.
in what order of priority."
Yes.
And then it goes, "Cool. You're gonna allot these 2 hours on this day for this project, and then
Yeah.
this 1 hour on this day for this part of the like,
Yeah.
okay,
And
interesting.
and then as I finish those things, so like as I finish, I check a box and it said, "Oh, I finished this thing." It's like, "Oh, you finished early." It chunk 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 and it will slide things up.
It'll
Or if I don't finish early, it's like you didn't check this off. I'm going to kick it to your next available hour so
yeah,
that you have and like it'll work around if I have meetings, if I've got, podcast time or travel time for meetings or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
That's how I keep it
I
like
say
straight.
that's cool. I'll have to look at that because I got like my calendar. I've got, I mean, far less busy. I'm sure I've got less hats that I wear than Sam. But yeah, like it's like I'll put something in there and then either vastly over or underestimate how much time it will take.
Yeah.
And like I'll finish the thing, I'll be like, all right, I'm done. Not
What
really sure
now?
not really sure what to do next. I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, that's cool. I like
Yeah.
that. I like it.
So then now shifting out of the professional, shifting into the physical.
Mm.
You've been through a couple iterations this year.
Yeah.
What does training look like currently? Like right now, if we were to snapshot your training, how would you describe it?
Right now, it looks like either doing or taking the affiliate classes here at CrossFit Tilt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big kind of, big belief of mine is to take your own medicine.
Yes.
So if I'm going to, not only if I'm going to tell people to do something like, hey, this is the workout we're doing, but take it one step further and like I wrote the workout
Right.
that we're doing. I should take my own medicine.
Yeah.
So even if I can't do it on the day, I will do like 99.9% of work. Sometimes there's just days where you're like, I can't get something in,
Yeah.
is what it is. But 99.9% of the workouts that I program for our affiliate here, I do on either between classes if I don't have time to take a class that day, or in class if I have time to take class. So it looks like the affiliate programming here at Tilt with some specific like rehab and weakness work that I need
Yeah.
to continue building back my hip and low back strength, and got some stuff going on. So over the past 6 months, I have been dealing with, well, the right hip and lower back has been kind of just like an ongoing for like a year or so. It kind of like has been coming and going.
Yeah.
But I'm finally like fully tackling that and be like, all right, we're going to fix this thing.
Good.
So I've got that going on. I've got something going on like right shoulder, kind of like scap or subscap, just like funkiness. It's not like a serious thing, just kind of there. It's just annoying sometimes. And
Yeah.
a partially torn meniscus in my right knee. So I've got some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
going on physically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate enough that the partially torn meniscus doesn't really stop me from doing anything. It's like I can squat to full range of motion, fine. If I try and do it super fast or like, bounce out of the bottom, like that's where I'll get like that twinge of heyo, and it'll
Do
like
do double
my
unders get you?
nope, double
Oh,
unders fine.
okay, that's good.
Double unders fine, running fine. I haven't tried like a fast change of direction. like a zigzag something or an agility something, but I can imagine that would, even if it wasn't a thing like in the moment, it would like rear its head in the days following of like, hey, we're angry at you now.
Yeah.
So it's been just kind of like a consistent, like just kind of just very little by little. And the thing with a partial tear is it doesn't require surgery. It will fix itself eventually and come back together. It just takes a long time. And so I'm very careful. Like if I'm doing squats, so today we have a heavy back squat day, and I can squat under load. And as long as I control the descent and ascent, like I control that turnaround, if I try and bounce my butt off my calves, then that'll scream at me. But also like bouncing butt off my calves will aggravate like my hip and low back as well, because I'm trying to rebuild back the stability and mobility and strength through the musculature of that joint. So like everything for me, lower body wise, needs to be controlled. If I'm doing deadlifts, I'm using a 3 to 5 second negative always for the foreseeable future to re-strengthen that movement pattern, and rebuild up that musculature that has become weakened by years of injury. When I went to go see Britt for it, and she was doing some like different tests for my hip flexor and glute med on my right side, and the muscles were so weak that she was like, these muscles probably haven't fired properly in 3 to 4 years. And you've just created so much compensatory mechanisms and movement patterns to deal with it. But as soon as they get put into a position that they're not strong. So as soon as you get into a position, like there goes a tweak there goes a thing there. But like, I've cleared all the different tests of like, do you have a disc herniation or like nerve damage stuff like through your spine? Like that's all clear and good. But the musculature of my right hip flexion, I can feel it. If I do like a tuck sit or like an L sit, like my right leg, I'll be here and my right leg just goes like, and it's just like slowly coming down, like having to work real hard to like keep it. It's so weird.
Scales, baby.
Yeah, man. So I've been doing a lot of midline work, both to like reteach proper bracing mechanics and all that fun stuff. Like here's how to brace on both sides as opposed to just arch my spine. And so I'm doing a lot of that. I've been doing a lot of like tuck sit and L sit holds, planks, strict toes to bar, side planks, like banded monster walks of like different variations and resistances and different planes of motion to try and like strengthen the hip through like external rotation. Tempo deadlifts, RDL, single leg dead, like all the fun stuff, trying to like just strengthen all those muscles that I need. These funky things called hip extensions, back extensions, hip and back extensions.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah.
Gnarly. Hip and back.
Do one. Cooked. Well, done. Take a nap. Like horrible.
Go to bed.
I did one. I'm tired now. I need a nap. So like just a whole bunch of accessory, and then on the days that make sense, like 1 to 2 days where like I'll get under some heavy load, usually one lower body, one upper body at the moment, is kind of like just to build back some strength that I've lost along the way. From because the about 8 to 9 months prior was training and competing as a semi-pro soccer player. So training looked different. Recovery looked different. The sport looks very different from CrossFit.
It is a sport.
It is a sport. So that's kind of like the journey. The past 8 to 9 months was semi-pro soccer, and then once that season ended, and looking at my life going forward, I was like, I'd love to continue to play, but the registration fee to play for the club, as well as having a pending bebe coming in January, I was like, probably smart choice to sit this one out. So the boys are playing a fall season, and I'm supporting them emotionally, spiritually, sometimes physically. If I can make a game, I go to their home stadium because the home stadium is far from me. But so that's what we're doing, and slowly building stuff up and getting back into it.
Beautiful. I love that.
That's what training looks for me. How about you, Sam? Mr. Daddy Daycare over here, you using your toddler's goblet squats?
No. Although it feels like it sometimes. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm I try to do something somewhere between 3 and 5 days a week. Um, I'm very, very lucky to have essentially a whole affiliate in my garage.
Yeah,
Um,
baller home gym.
I, 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 I was very lucky.
Yes.
And what's cool is like the ROI on that investment, like it's a big upfront investment, but what it has saved me in like affiliate fees or anything like that it's already been paid off. What I realized though is that it's still important for me to be a part of an affiliate.
Mhm.
Um, because I behave differently when I'm in the gym, regardless of, you know, who the coach is or what's being presented, how I behave, how I move, the intensity that I might bring to something.
Mhm.
Like an audience changes something. So it's important for me to be a part of an affiliate. I try to get into an affiliate 1 to 2 times per week. That's about what I have in terms of like time.
Mhm.
Um, because it's a 2 hour commitment minimum. So it's about 30 minutes there. It's a 1 hour class and it's about 30 minutes back. And that's assuming I don't screw around. And I always screw around. So it's not time wasted
Yeah.
because
No.
I love being in the affiliate and I love getting a chance to talk with other coaches and with other athletes and stuff like that. But it's a commitment. So for CrossFit, like pure coached CrossFit, that's about the limit of my exposures. Whatever, and I don't. It's Monday, Tuesday are the days that I go, and so whatever they program is whatever I do.
Mhm.
Um, Built around that, I have a responsibility as a member of TGC staff to make sure that I'm continually making progress on my weaknesses from a gymnastics standpoint. And so that's kind of been split work. The first is making sure that I'm doing something, right? One of the things that we talk about at the seminar is frequent exposure is the best medicine. You need to do something of a gymnastics nature basically every time you have a training day. Even if it's in a warm up, you
Mhm.
need to do something. So, making sure that I put hands on a bunch of different things, presses, holds, inversions, um, you know, midline work, squatting work, pulling, all like everything. I try to do something. Specifically, because I'm building out this 6 week training block, I've had to test a bunch of these workouts.
Mhm.
And so we have a very specific intention. Like I said earlier, it's a accessory program. It's meant to supplement your CrossFit training. It's not meant to replace your CrossFit training. So it should be doable front to back in about 35 minutes. And so I have a very specific intention for this block where it's built. So it's a 5 day block. So it's 3 on 1 off, 2 on 1 off, built around pressing. And so Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday we have vertical pressing, dips, horizontal pressing, push-ups of some variation, and inverted pressing. Right, which means from Saturday, rest day Sunday, to Monday, rest day Tuesday, to Wednesday, if you did those days,
Mhm.
you would go inverted, vertical, forward. So
Mhm.
you would go from the most difficult pressing to the least difficult pressing. It's all built around tempo eccentrics and like controlled rest periods, which are things that we talk about in the course. But what we end up with is you end up with a wicked fucking pump. And so it's like pseudo hypertrophy program. Cross sectional area is what it increases. That's hypertrophy. So it increases cross sectional area while driving strength adaptations. And across 6 weeks, that's on a linear progression. On
And
the other two,
you question how good you are at life.
absolutely, that's
Do a,
fully
do a,
the intention.
do a 5 second negative on a proper push up. You're like, same as the hip and back extension. I did one, took a nap. So
Well,
like,
and because we prioritize range of motion, the push-ups are done on parallettes.
right. So yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah.
great. I love it.
I saw, I was doing some accessory, doing like an overhead day. And I was like, I'm going to do some accessory. And I kind of like, I don't, I kind of like pre-plan to an extent. I have like a Google sheet where I'm like, hey, here's an idea of what I'd like to get done for
Yep.
fitness that day.
Yep.
And that can change. So
Yep.
Tuesday I had a plan got changed. So I came up with something completely different and was like, this is what I'm going to do today.
Yep.
There was one day I was like, I had some time for some accessory. I was like, oh, we can do some, like, I'll do some accessory pressing. I remember you doing like your thing about the headstand versus handstand push-up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could pull out the parallettes and do like a, like actually full range of motion. I was gonna do like a piped off
Yep.
like my foot on a surface and pipe thing. So I'm like, ain't no way I'm doing this like full on strict on a wall. Not yet.
Yes.
And I pulled out the parallettes. I set up my little box, put my feet on there, and like came down, kicked my feet down, and said, "Fuck that shit." Chucked it back off the side. I was like, "Nope."
Okay.
I was like, my shoulder's just a little cooked. I will try it again because it is valuable stuff.
It is.
Don't want people to think that like what Sam's programming is stupid, because he sent me his programming block and I went, oh.
Yeah.
Not only will you get better at gymnastics, but you will also be worthy to possess the power of Thor. And I like my shoulders, like arms, just a little bit too cooked. So I came down. I was like, no, it ain't happening today.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, so I'll give people a like. So this was the first day. So day one, Monday. So your skill warm up. So there's a standardized warm up that we run everybody through, and we want it to be a standardized warm up for a reason. So your secondary standardized warm up is a reverse Tabata of hollow hold. So 10-second hollow hold, 20 seconds rest for 4 minutes.
Disgusting.
It's 2 to 1. It's not bad, right?
Sure.
Coming out of that, you have a 5-minute window to you can accumulate time practicing a front lever hold, right?
Okay.
So front lever, hang from a bar, tuck up, and then in a perfect world, you would lower your body so that your hips and shoulders were horizontally aligned, and you would extend your legs out, and you would just be pressing into the bar. So like huge lats. It's all lats.
Yeah.
You could do a straddle. You could do a single leg. You would do tuck front lever. But your goal is to accumulate time under tension in that position, spending no more than 5 minutes. And so for most people, it's probably going to be like, I'm going to try to hold for 5 minutes. I'm going to rest or I'm going to hold for 5 seconds. I'm going to rest for 55 seconds.
Yes.
Right. So you end up accumulating a total of, 25 or 30 seconds,
right,
which for any variation of a front lever is, really, really good. And so ideally you increase it by like 1 second every week.
Yep.
Then coming out of that, it's 5x5 strict ring dips. So from support, 5-second eccentric, and then press out. 5-second eccentric, press out. So it's 25 seconds. It's with the press, it's actually closer to 30 seconds. Then you're going to do it you're going to do a set every 4 minutes. So you get roughly 3.5 minutes of rest.
Beautiful.
And that'll be again a linear progression of reps going up and then eccentric tempo going down, so that we live at like kind of an equilibrium in terms of how long you're staying under tension, globally at least. And so that's the standard structure. The whole thing takes about like 25 minutes, and something like that is really, really good for me for a number of reasons. One, because I have to keep working on my gymnastics, but also two, I'm getting older. Like what did I do? Power clean and push jerk, like a 205 power clean and push jerk the other day.
Savage.
Which I felt really, really good about, considering I have like a dislocated toe. That felt okay. But the thing that makes it feel okay is I'm not lifting crazy heavy. For me, I'm taking the time necessary to make sure that my body is strong at body weight capacity. I still lift heavy relative to my physiological, psychological tolerances. I get into Metcon when I can and when it's appropriate. But right now, because of my obligations, because of my limited time, because of priorities, I have to pick and choose. And if it's the difference between don't do a 40-minute AMRAP or do 30 minutes of something and then go on with the rest of your day, I'm going to choose to do the 30 minutes of something.
Do 30 minutes of something. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You can get, like, if you're funky with time, I've been like posting a little bit of this on my Ginger Ninja Instagram account, where like there are some days where I call it like the hour of power, where you're just like, all right, you start a 60-minute clock and you're like, all right, we're just gonna hammer. Hammer. You take like 10 to 15 minutes to warm up. You can take 10 to 15 minutes to like do a Metcon. I'm always more of a fan usually of doing any strength work after, because you've warmed up everything's greased. Sure. And it'll also make it so I don't try something like, if you're under some fatigue, like you're not going to, at least for me, makes it so right now I'm not going to try and be overly stupid with my loading. and make something heavier than it should be.
That reminds me, I have
Yes.
a fix. I have a training protocol to help fix your knee if you're interested later.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called back squat. You're what? Just put 315 on the bar and like.
It's called Don't Be a Bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So you put 315 on your back.
No.
Squat down and you stand up when you're strong enough to stand up.
No, I have a protocol that I used when I rehab my patellar tendonitis or patellar tendinopathy.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
so like my knees are bulletproof now.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to chat about that. But the other day I didn't have the hour that could be of power.
Yeah.
So I made it the half hour of power. And I literally got a warm, I had to adjust what I was doing, again, the plan for the day, but I got a warm up,
Yeah.
a workout, and accessory done in 30 minutes.
You can do it.
It was, I forget what it was. So I want to find it now. Because it was I thought it was a stroke of genius. You can tell me if it was me being a dingus. Let's see. This one. So we had the workout that day was some running intervals.
Okay.
The workout that day was a 5K run. That was the class workout, 5K run.
Okay.
And I was planning on doing the 5K run and then doing some accessory and some like gymnastic skill work. I wanted to work on some rope climb stuff as well as some accessory.
Okay.
But with how my day shook out, I was like, can't do that. So what I did is my warm up took 7 minutes. I did a 200-meter run at just kind of an easy pace, 20 ring rows, 200-meter run, 10 strict pull-ups, 200-meter run. The run got faster as I went. So I was from like 0 to 7 minutes. At the 7-minute mark, start the clock, 3, 2, 1, go. And from that, I think this took me like 12 minutes to do the workout. It's 5 rounds, 400-meter run, 2 legless rope climbs. So
how does your knee, hip, and back feel when you run?
Fine.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. I'm all sorts of weird. No, it feels fine.
No one's arguing that.
Well, yeah. That. But we did 5 rounds, 400-meter run, 2 legless rope climbs, and took like 12 and a half minutes. Wrap that up at like the 20-ish minute mark. And then from 20 to 30, did 3 sets of 10 strict toes to bar and a 45-second plank on each side. Just a little bit of some midline work. Boom. That was 30 minutes of fitness.
You got videos of those strict toe to bar?
Do you want a video of those strict toes to bar?
I would love a video.
Listen, all right. I'm gonna put a video on Instagram. I did some muscle ups the other day, and I was like, "Damn, these are silky. These might actually make Sam proud of me for once." And I'll take a video of that strict toes to bar. Don't you?
All right.
As soon as this podcast is done, I'll send you a video.
So here's a little bit of a glimpse into the what do you call it? Into the seminar. How do you define a kip?
I define a kip by like you go from an arch into a hollow.
So that's called a beat swing, right? So and this is part of the contention that I have with like the level 1. When they teach the kipping pull up, they call the kip swing and the kip, which are 2 different things.
Right.
They call them the same thing, right? So I'm not talking about the transition between the arch and the hollow. That's called a beat swing. So for our purposes here, when you kip something, right? If you kip a handstand push-up, you kip a pull-up, you kip a ring muscle-up, what language would you use to define the kip in any of those cases?
So with what you've just described, using hip extension to generate momentum.
Yeah, and for all a hip, it's a lot of times it's hips to do all of those things, right?
Yeah.
So more globally, or I won't say, the language that we use is a rapid change in direction at speed, resulting in a new position.
Okay.
I
like that. Yeah. Yep.
Right. So I'm gonna do a little motion here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'll do this. I'll zoom out real quick. Okay. So I'm gonna mime something, and I want you to tell me if this qualifies as strict using the definition of a kip that we just talked about. Okay.
Yep.
What have I just pantomimed?
That would be kip. That would be like a kip over the rings on your muscle up.
Right. Think about how the strict ring muscle up is taught at the level 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pull to here. Yeet.
Whip your head forward, right?
Well, I mean, that was the whole controversy in the 2016 regionals when they did strict muscle ups for Nate. You like Josh Bridges, because he was like, that was a weakness. He would get himself to here and then like head whip himself because he's like, same as everybody else. As soon as I'm here, I've got it. So it's like if I can get there quicker.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. So by your definition, my toes to bar are strict.
I'm just making sure.
Have some of that.
Because I have some clients, I have some athletes, I have some coaches where they're like, oh, we're going to do strict whatever. Yeah. And separate, like not in a workout or anything like that.
Yep.
I'll say, how are we defining strict? And we'll have a discussion. Yeah. And the strict ring muscle up is an obvious example because very few people can actually strict ring muscle up who can actually do a muscle up. And that's not to say that they're not strong or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm going to send you so many videos of me doing
beautiful. I love it. I'm super excited. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's gonna be great.
The most amazing.
Yeah. So this has been a lot of fun. We're closing on the end of an hour here.
Yeah.
If you ever had cause to wonder whether or not we could talk about ourselves for an hour, I think we've answered that question. Yeah. So I think if we're going to tie this to a like a bigger thing, like for example, a lot of what I do looks like gymnastics.
Yes.
That's not to say that I'm abandoning the tenets of CrossFit. I believe in CrossFit, right? I have responsibilities that require me to do certain things. You've got an injury, for example. Yes. You have to rehab your injury. That doesn't mean that you're not doing CrossFit or that you're like, nah, fuck CrossFit.
Yeah, that falls in, like we talked about the last episode, it falls into the bucket of your physical and psychological tolerances. Like Absolutely. There's a physical tolerance that comes along with an injury.
Or intolerance.
Well, right, sure. Yeah. There's a certain level of tolerance or intolerance that comes with injury.
Yes.
And I would love for anyone here that's like, but like how intense can rehab stuff do? Go hold a static, like Bulgarian split squat for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
See how you feel.
Yeah. Hold an actual plank for 60 seconds. Don't just bridge, like make an arch between your
actual plank.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. I like when I'm teaching planks in class, I'm like, we're gonna do a plank, and I go around and I'm like trying to get people like actually, hollow essentially, in their plank. Like actually push through your shoulders, whether you're on your hands or your elbows, push through, squeeze your shit.
Yep.
Tuck your hips down.
Oh yeah.
Don't twerk at me while you're doing your 30-second plank here.
Well, so you gotta take away the toes, is what you gotta do.
Have them go on like the tops of their feet.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
So the thing about the plank is like if they're, I call it bridging. So like an arch bridge or suspension bridge works because the force is distributed down, or like an archway in the Coliseum, the force is distributed down into the floor, right? So the strength is not at the keystone. The keystone is driving forces down into the columns, for example, right? So if you're on your toes and you're pressing into the floor with your toes, you're pressing into the floor with your hands, you're creating a position of support, which sure, there's definitely some strength that's being developed there. But if you want to take it a step further and make it only the midline that is holding everything together, you put your feet down on the tops and you make it so that the compression down through your midline, that like now instead of the keystone pressing down, it's like the keystone trying to grab the stones around it and pull up. It's a totally different feeling.
I say I'm going to try that, and I can already tell I'm going to hate it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, I'd say like giving it like a kind of final thoughts and wrapping it towards something bigger is that you don't need to get too wrapped around the axle about like where you are now or where you used to be, because life's going to continue to evolve and your journey is going to continue. It's just going to keep on keeping on. And whatever you need to do, like there's certain phases of life where it's like, hey, I'm under a lot of stress with work. Your body can only take on so much stress. And as much as we all enjoy training is stress.
Absolutely.
And if you've got like a ton of stuff going on life-wise, like when Sam's like having a second baby, You know, I bet you he wasn't also like, I'm going to try and go to the CrossFit Games too. Like, there's a limit to those things. Like, you're probably not slamming down PRs all over the place and pushing your body to the absolute max when you're like, I've slept 3 hours and I'm going through the stress of I'm starting 2 new businesses and I just got green-lighted to be on CrossFit gymnastics staff. I have a seminar this weekend and all this fun stuff.
And
You
got to prioritize.
I have to keep Kevin in line with all his shit.
Because I've given up on that.
Oh, geez, he threw that hat away. Damn it. I blew it. I was like,
nah. Well, this is fun. It'll be interesting. We should maybe do this thing again, like in another quarter or so, and see like where are we? How has it changed? By that time, we'll be over 52 episodes. It'll be over a year.
Yeah, it'll be over a year.
That's amazing. Kevin, thank you for this. I always have fun doing this stuff with you.
Always the best.
Absolutely. And for everyone else who is listening, thank you for playing along. We will see you when we see you. Peace.